Hi, welcome to this tutorial. So in this tutorial, we'll be looking at the alert syntax in JavaScript. So it's a complete tutorial to creating and using alerts in JavaScript. So this is a beginner level tutorial, as in it's for people who don't know much about JavaScript at all. So I'll be handling a lot of the beginner topics. So if you already know how this works, then you can just probably skip a lot of the beginner parts in this tutorial, right? So let's get right into it then. Alright, so I have my Visual Studio Code right here. So I've created a project already. So let's start with our alert syntax in JavaScript. Alright, so as you can see, I have my script.js and index.html. My index.html has a very simple template. You can pause the video and copy this template if you'd like. And I've linked my script.js to my index.html by using this line of code. And in my script.js, I'll be showing you all of the examples and we'll be looking at them in the browser. Now, to open the browser, all you have to do is right click and press on open with live server, because now in my extensions right here, I have the live server installed. So you can just go to the extensions and search for live server, and you can just install the one by Ritwik Day, because it's pretty good. And all you have to do is just come back right here and right click and press on open live server, and you'll get the live server like this, right? And that's it. Alright, so let's get right into it then. As I said, in this tutorial, we'll be looking at the alert syntax in JavaScript. So let's look at the different ways of using the alert boxes to display different kinds of messages and information on your browser screen. So the alert function as such is a predefined function in JavaScript, which means the predefined function basically means that it was already created in JavaScript and you can just directly use it, because what it does when the function is called is already determined. And also it accepts one argument, which is the message. So generally it just accepts one argument, which is the information or the message you want displayed. So this could be right after the page loads, when an element is clicked, or after some time has lapsed. So you can determine when the alert box is displayed. That's up to you. So let's start with a very simple alert box. Basically just go and press on alert, and let's just give a message right here. So of course, to give a message, you have to define the message. So let's say the message that we're defining is hello there in my message syntax. So if in my message variable, so if I see when I refresh, I'm getting hello there, and if I press on OK, it'll just stop. So if I refresh again, I'll still get hello there. It would always be running because the alert box is running. Unless I press on OK, this would not stop running. Alright, so this is a simplest way of putting out an alert box. So you'll be displaying an alert box, and inside the alert box, whatever is specified inside the message will be displayed. Or you can just take this entire string from here and just directly place it right here. That would work as well. So just refresh, you'll have your hello there. Refresh again, you'll have your hello there. That's it. Alright, so as I said, you can just replace this message directly in your alert, and if you open up your output, you'd get let me show. There you go, you get the same output, right? So remember that the string specified inside of your alert function call should be within the code. So if you're directly specifying a string, make sure that it's within the code. So it can either be a single quote or a double quote, but if you start with a single quote, it has to end with a single quote. If you start with a double quote, it has to end with a double quote. So make sure of that. Alright, because otherwise the browser would think that it's a variable. If you just give hello there like this, it would think it's a variable, and it would not even be a proper variable because there's a space in between. So there'll be a mess and problems, and you would get undefined. Let me just show you. So if I do something like this, then see, first of all, this is going to be an error because we have a space. Now if I remove the space or add something like this, again it's gonna be an error. Why? Well, that's because, see, you're not even going to get anything because that variable does not exist, and it says missing after the argument list. Alright, so you're gonna get a lot of errors, or it's gonna think it's a variable and it's going to look for it and then finally give you undefined. Alright, now that we've looked at alert, let's look at how to create a custom message from a variable. Alright, so I want to try a very funny thing in here. I want to try creating multiple lines. Okay, so you can do that with your double quotes or single quotes. For example, let's say I have hi there like this, and then let's say I use a new line character /n, which creates a new line, and let's say how have you been, right? So if you do it like this, let me save this and let's go here. See, there is your hi there, and then right after that in the next line you have your how have you been. Alright, so you don't leave any space between all of this, okay, because the thing is this is considered a space, that is, it's the next line, right? So if you leave an extra space in here, then that would also be taken as an extra, so you don't really want that. Alright, see, there's a extra space in here. It looks a little wonky, right? So which is why don't leave an extra space between your new line character and the two actual characters on either side of it. Okay, you can insert as many new line characters as you want, and each new line would produce as you guessed, a new line. So let me see how this works. So let's just refresh. See, so now I've actually produced 2 extra lines in here because I've asked for 3 different new lines, right? So you can do that. Next, let's look at how to perform calculations and display calculations on your alert box. So calculations. So this is an entire complete tutorial on using alert boxes, right? So for example, you can perform any kind of mathematical calculations on your alert boxes as well. So let me just go with a normal calculation. So let's say 5 plus 6. Now if I give OK in here and if I refresh next, see, it's gonna give me 11. So if you use numbers and they're without codes and they can be calculated, what you'll get is something like this. So you can actually do this. You can go for string concatenation as well, so a number plus string or just a string concatenation. Now if I refresh and if I look at, see, it says 5 hello, and you can use 2 different strings as well if you'd like, and you can do proper calculations with your variables as well. So let a is equal to 5, b is equal to 6 like this, and instead of 5 plus 6 you can just give a plus b. As I said, if you don't use your quotes, it will be considered as variable, so it will immediately go and look for the value inside of that variable. And if you refresh now, say, it's gonna give you 11, right? And similarly, you can actually do string concatenation as well. So hello like this, and there like this, and I can use a template string or something else like that if that's what I want. I'll give a little bit of space in here so it looks like a proper phrase. Alright, so if you look at this, let me refresh. See, it says hello there. So you can do all of those things, and you can combine results if you'd like. So if it's just number, you can just combine them and print them together. Again, that's all string concatenation, so you can do anything you want. And also you can use alerts within your for loops as well. So for example, let's say I have a for loop like this. Let I is equal to 0, I less than 10. So it starts from 0, it goes to 10. And I plus plus like this. Alright, so every time the loop runs, I want to print out the I. So how would that work? Would you like to see? Alright then, so let's refresh. See, I'm getting 1. Every time you give OK, the next iteration is going to happen. So see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and now it's closed because the for loop has been closed. So if it was a never-ending for loop, it would actually never end at all. Right, so that you might have seen something like this in your other website, in the websites that you visit. Sometimes the alerts never stop at all. That's probably because it's a never-ending loop. And also you can make your alert boxes appear based on a function call. For example, you can create a button like this in here. Okay, and you can say click me like this. Okay, and in your script you can receive the button. So you just give document dot get element by ID. So this can be used to get this particular element that we created in your HTML by its ID. Now unfortunately I forgot to give the ID in here, so I'll just give it an ID of, let's say, button, so I can easily refer to it later on in my script. So it has an ID. We are getting this element by its ID and we're putting it inside of a variable of the same name, button. You can change the name into anything you want, button1 or just BUT or anything. It's completely up to you. Just create a name that you understand and you remember. Okay, so get element by ID. In here within quotes, give the ID that you gave in your HTML, right? So that's it. So once you've gotten it, you can create an event listener. Alright, so add an event listener to this particular element that you just received in here, and it's going to be a click event listener. So basically what you're doing is you're adding a condition where every time this button is clicked, I want to open up an anonymous function like this, anonymous arrow function like this, and in here, let's say I'll give an alert that says you clicked me. That's it. Okay, simple. So now I don't really need the for. I'll just remove all of that. So we just have this. So on click, first of all we are receiving the element, and then we are adding an event listener to this, which is a click event listener, which has to be within quotes, and there is an anonymous function that basically says every time this is clicked, please open the alert box. So instead of this anonymous function, you can just mention the name of the function you want as well. So for example, you can say button clicked. So let's say that's the function that I'm creating, and you can just go and create that button clicked like this, or you can use your arrow function as well, and alert says you clicked me like this, right? So you can do any of those things. Alright, so if you look at the output, click me, see, it says you clicked me. Every time you press click me, that's it. See, you can do something like this as well. Alright, so that's it for this particular tutorial. So you learned a lot of things about alerts and how to use them and how to display various kinds of messages with them. So I hope it was an interesting tutorial. I will be putting up a lot of tutorials like this every day. So please subscribe and please press on the bell button. And if you like this video, please like the video. Please press on the like button as well. So I'd really appreciate any feedback, and if you have any doubts, please ask them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. So thank you. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you.